This one's about psychopathy or psychos in families. I mean, it of course they'll find its way out into societies or wherever, but it is a hard thing to, someone would say, on a logical basis, to see a situation or behaviors as abnormal to such a level that you say, nah, it can't really they be like that. No, 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 right? Because denial is probably the greatest enemy of our existence, besides others, of course. But denial, you can have enough evidence, and especially in family situations, because to admit to a problem, you would have to believe it has some kind of a reflection on you also. Therefore, it will always be made less serious because it can't be that bad. I mean, hey, that's a reflection on me too. To say that a family member has got a serious issue would mean that I also have issues too. And that is how you embrace life. You embrace life on the fact that we are not perfect and we all have issues, whether it be those issues were planted so deeply within us, those issues formed us, or those issues were because of somebody who has an issue with you. You could go through your life just doing your own thing, la 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 la, skipping along the way. And that's the way it should be, right? But there are people who watch you, and people who, for the majority of time of their life, they really don't know how to maintain their own vessel, their own life. So therefore, in the land of irresponsibility, they gotta blame you for what's going on with them. And it starts off from young. It starts off from young. I think one of the biggest problems that happens within families who create psychos, people who really have serious problems at a psycho level, is that they will always have an enabling parent. An enabling parent for a mother, for instance, who will, no matter what, because it's a sad reflection on her, and so she got so much pride, she doesn't want to admit that the child may have an issue. Now there is enough programs and neurologists programs and medications and so on and so forth that can fix some of these things. It gets really deeper when the parent consistently convinces, because that's who a child, even growing up, will listen to the most. Your parents. They are the ultimate authority. And even God, you could say you believe in God, but your parents will have a much more powerful say over your life until you really start to trust God to be the replacement parent, right? And that's where He's got to spend decades working inside of you, rooting out and separating you from the poison and the unhealthiness that your parents possessed. When a parent takes hold of a son, and although she should have let that son go, she hangs on to that child. Growing up past teenage years, she gives that child enough power to make the excuses necessary, okay, to keep coming back to her because she doesn't want to be abandoned. In the aspect of doing so, she shelters that son or her daughter or whomever. She shelters that person from the world out there who's not so familiar with that person, that child, that they will come right and say to that child, "You're full of shit. You need," or somebody will just slap them across their face for being a proud, ignorant, arrogant, self entitled toddler. who basically thinks they can just prance through life because this is the interesting about a duality of dysfunctionalism is that the child can come up with enough excuses. Now, excuses are lies as to why it ain't working out. Can they come back home, right? The mother, on the other hand, likes the idea that her children have all left and done except for this one specific son, and she brings the son back consistently. The son, in the meantime, knows somewhere deep down inside that something's not right because he knows there's an invisible force holding him captive by the motherly ties or even the father, right? Even though he gets his 3 meals a day, he gets his shelter, he gets to have the monies that she'll dole out. He learns from young that just from young where he can take whatever money he makes if he does work, that it's his. Mommy or daddy can't have it because, well, it's my money, right? Now, you see, the thing is, psychopaths usually, even from young, they learn this pathetic thing of it's mine. It's all mine. And what's mine is mine. And what's yours is mine, right? They have a real, it's a despicable and a twisted way of looking at things. They really, it is. I mean, you can basically, you might as well say, you might as well throw out physics and everything else because they really have their own laws by which they live. And it works. Throughout the years, it works. It works because the tie between the parent and the child is so strong with the deception, with the coddling, with the unable to allow any growth for the child. The child basically grows up into one big massive dwarf. There's no ability to really grow up into a normal functioning human being. The child becomes more and more a grown-up toddler, still wearing their diapers and still looking for mommy to change it. And when they get older, the things about the psychopaths is what they do. They have to take out what's breathing inside them. It's so strong because it's anger. See, anger steps in when anyone takes away your power to simply become and to grow up. There's nothing more worse than when you feel hindered, hampered, or even sabotaged in your life. Nothing worse than that. And what a psychopath ends up doing is because they've been justifying the whole gambit of the prisoner being held prisoner all of those years. The only way they get out and have freedom is to take out all of what they have on someone else. And they have to take it out. They're not going to do it to a stranger because they get the shit kicked out of them, of course. So they have to do it to another family member. And the reason why they can get away with it, because that family member is busy dealing with the fact that all that is going on from his perspective can't be that bad because that's a sad reflection on me, right? The thing is, where this thing really changes is that once you separate yourself from the whole world, that world, and there's a world out there that cleanses your brain and causes you to have different perspectives, and you start to realize there's life after the family. I actually can grow out. I can grow away from. I can actually grow. And this all stems from one thing alone. This stems from a parent who is so rude, determined, and ignorant to the amount of damage she's causing and has caused. You know where it gets to it can get to the point too that where you hear of things that go on in families and that where it can get so intensified. You know, for myself personally, I haven't, and I've interacted with quite a few different people in my work and so on and so forth in a lot of professional environments. And you know, when you have a certain level of discretion And it's not good behavior, because good behavior is someone you when you put on a good behavior, it's a fake. But when you can show your stuff and you realize your behavior is good, instead of behaving good, and instead of having good behavior based upon some deceptive end, right? You use it for a manipulative end, but having good behavior because you learn the right way to live. People commend you. Your work commends you. The world, and I'm saying the whole world, but in general, people like quality and they like value, and they will treat you way different than what you grew away from. In all of that, you will start to see that there's something very, very wrong within this family you came from. And the thing is about it is that it can be really painful because you are given the pill to come back all the time, to come back. And when you come back, you immediately fall into the pit of where you left off decades ago with that psychopath. What makes a child become a psychopath is because there's such a level of tolerance for the parent who also has psychopathy that they will, in turn, the rest of the siblings have tons of patience for the child who is a psychopath. When any child gets to the level that it's because they're put out or they're impatient and they want to go and take out violence on anybody, that's a psychopath. When a person can throw a massive temper tantrum and everyone else must get afraid of them, that's a psychopath. Okay? That is going beyond the reach of a normal brain and a normal human being. So I can go on and on about this. Is that in some families, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, but the change, because we're all separated, self-governing entities, and God has given that right, because He says every work that every human being will do will be brought into judgment, which means we are so responsible for before God. It means we're so empowered, every single human being, to make a change in our lives. It takes audacity, it takes huge boldness, and it takes a whole lot of courage to break away from something that is not good, period. When family bloodlines have violence, when it shows a history of not only a child throwing a tantrum, but a child who's able to make up enough excuses and justify what they're doing, and even go to the point that they're able to make you believe their side of the story. You got to really do double shake. And once you get away from them, you realize, no, wait a second, that's totally wrong. But what you're doing, you really why the reason you have to keep shaking the head until one day you don't have to anymore. You basically shake it off and you walk away for good. Is that God does not in any way, shape, or form He does not give us the A-OK to be a partaker or part of anything that is so awful. And some families never heal. Some families, the only way they heal is once the parent dies. Sometimes at that point, nothing is left but the empty ghost of what once was, and somebody's got to pick up the pieces. The thing is about the land of equation, don't let it be you. You're not responsible for someone else's life, and you're not responsible for picking up the pieces. If you go ahead and you make something, and you're trying your best to make something good in your life, and you're not the kind that goes about pushing and demanding and claiming and trying to abuse other people or showing bad behavior over and over again, you have all the right and self government under God Almighty to walk away, stay away, and to not try to heal something that God does not put you or gave you any ability to. The best thing you can do, it's not your problem. You grew up, you grew away, and you grew. You all have a good day and do like and subscribe. Thank you.